Welcome to this presentation. You are watching VLSI Design Lecture Series. Today, let us focus on design for testability. The keys to designing circuits that are testable are controllability and observability. And you can restate that controllability is the ability to set or reset every node internal to the circuit. And observability is the ability to observe either directly or indirectly the state of any node in the circuit. So good observability and controllability reduce the cost of manufacturing testing because they allow high fault coverage with relatively few test vectors. Moreover, they can be essential to silicon debug because physically probing internal signals has become so difficult. Now, let's first cover the three main approaches to what is commonly called DFT, that is design for testability. These may be categorized as the three things, which are ad hoc testing, scan-based approaches, and BIST, that is built-in self-test. Ad hoc test techniques, as their name suggests, they are the collection of ideas aimed at reducing the combinational explosion of testing. They are summarized here for historical reasons, and they are only useful for small designs where scan, ATPG, and BIST are not available. A complete scan-based testing methodology is recommended for all digital circuits. Having said that, the following are the common techniques for ad hoc testing. One is partitioning large sequential circuits, and the second one is adding test points, adding multiplexers, and providing easy state reset. A technique classified in this category is the use of the bus and the bus oriented system for test purposes. Each register has been made loadable from the bus and are capable of being driven onto the bus. Here, the internal logic values that exist on a data bus are enabled onto the bus for testing purposes. Frequently, multiplexers can be used to provide alternative signal paths during testing. In CMOS, transmission gate multiplexers provide low area and delay overhead. Any design that should always have a method of retesting the internal state of the chip within a single cycle or at most a few cycles. Apart from making the testing easier, this also makes simulation faster as a few cycles are required to initialize the chip. In general, ad hoc testing techniques represent a bag of tricks developed over the years by designers to avoid the overhead of systematic approach to testing. And while these general approaches are still quite valid, process densities and chip complexities necessitate a structured approach to testing. And next, let us move on to scan design. The scan design strategy for testing has evolved to provide observability and controllability at each register. And in designs with the scan and the registers operate in one of the two modes, that is, in normal mode they behave as expected. In scan mode they are connected to form a giant shift registers called scan chain spanning the whole chip. We can see the architecture of the scan-based design. Here, by applying n clock pulses in the scan mode, all n bits of state in the stream system can be shifted out and new n bits of state can be shifted in. Therefore, scan mode gives easy observability and controllability of every register in the system. Modern scan is based on the use of the scan register, and the scan register is a D flip-flop preceded by a multiplexer. When the scan signal is de-asserted, the register behaves as a conventional register storing data on the D input. When scan is asserted, the data is loaded from the SI pin, which is connected in shift register fashion to in previous register Q output in the scan chain. For the circuit to load the scan chain, scan is asserted and clock is pulsed 8 times to load the first two ranks of the 4-bit registers with the data. Scan is asserted and clock is asserted for one cycle to operate the circuit normally with the predefined inputs. Scan is then reasserted and clock is asserted 8 times to read the stored data out. At the same time, the new register contents can be shifted for the next test. Testing proceeds in this manner of serially clocking the data through the scan register to the right point in the circuit, running a system single clock cycle and serially clocking the data out for observation. So in this scheme, every input to the combinational block can be controlled and every output can be observed. In addition, running a random pattern of ones and zeros through the scan chain can test the chain itself. Test generation for this type of test architecture can be highly automated. ATPG techniques can be used for the combinational blocks and the scan chain is easily tested. The prime disadvantage is the area and delay impact of the extra multiplexer in the scan register. Designers are in widespread agreement that this cost is more than the offset by the savings in debug time and production test cost. And the next what we are going to see is about the parallel scan. And you can imagine that the serial scan chains can become quite long and the loading and unloading can dominate the testing time. A fairly simple idea is to split the chains into smaller segments, and this can be done by a model by model basis, completed automatically to some specified scan length. Extending this to the limit yields the extension of the serial scan to random access scan. To some extent, this is similar to that used inside the FPGAs to read the control RAM. The basic idea is shown here. The figure shows 2 by 2 register and each register receives a column and row access signal along with the row data. A global write signal is connected to all the registers. By asserting the row and column access signals in conjunction with the write signal, any register can be read or written in exactly the same method as the conventional write. So the logic is shown to the right of the 4 registers. Implementing the logic required at the transistor level can reduce the overhead for each register. And now let us move on to scannable register design. As you have seen, an ordinary flip-flop can be made scannable by adding a multiplexer and the data input. And here you can see the diagram which shows the circuit design for such a scan register using a transmission gate multiplexer. The setup time increases by the delay of the extra transmission gate in series with the D input as compared to the ordinary static flip-flop. And this third diagram shows the circuit using clock gating to obtain nearly the same setup time as the ordinary flip-flop. In either design, if a clock enable is used to stop the clock to unused portions of the chip, care must be taken that SI always toggles during the scan mode. And the next what we are going to discuss about is the built-in self-test. Self-test and built-in test techniques of the name suggest rely on augmenting circuits to allow them to perform operations upon themselves that prove correct operation. These techniques add area to the chip for the test logic but reduce the test time required and thus can lower the overall system cost. Offers extensive coverage of this implementer's perspective. One method of testing the model is to use the signature analyzer shown in this diagram or cycle redundancy checking. This involves using a pseudo-random sequence generator, that is PRSG, to produce the input signals for a section of combinational circuitry and a signature analyzer to observe the output signals. The PRSG of length n is constructed from a linear feedback shift register, which in turn made of n flip-flops connected in serial fashion. The XOR of particular outputs are fed back to the inputs of LFSR, and n-bit LFSR will cycle through 2 power n-1 states before repeating the sequence. The LFSR are described by a characteristics polynomial indicating which bits are fed back. A complete feedback receipt register CFSR includes 0 state that may be required in some test situations. An n-bit LFSR is converted into n-bit CFSR by adding n-1 input NOR gate connected to all but the last bit. When in state 0001, the next state is 000. When the state is 000, the next state is 100. Otherwise, the sequence is the same. Alternatively, the bottom n bits of the n+1 bit LFSR can be used to cycle through all 0 states without the delay of the NOR gate. A signature analyzer receives successive outputs of the combinational logic block and produces a syndrome that is a function of these outputs. The syndrome is reset to 0 and then they are XORed with the output of each cycle. That is, it will be reset and then XORed with each cycle. The syndrome is whistled each cycle so that a fault in one bit is unlikely to cancel itself out. At the end of the test sequence, the LFSR contains the syndrome that is a function of all previous outputs, and this can be compared with the correct syndrome that is derived by running a test program on the good logic to determine whether the circuit is good or bad. If the syndrome contains enough bits, then it is improbable that a defective circuit will produce the correct syndrome. The combination of signature analysis and the scan technique creates a structure called a BIST, that is built-in self-test or BLBO, built-in logic block observation, and it is a scannable, resettable register that also can serve as a pattern generator and signature analyzer. In the reset mode, all the flip-flops are configured as a 3-bit shift registers between SA and SO. Note that there is no inversion between each stage, and in test mode 0-1, the register behaves as a pseudo-random sequence generator or signature analyzer. Thank you.